to Freeology Friday. Aaron, what's happening, man?
Hey, man, I had to sport my Broncos gear.
Hell
There's
yeah.
a new sheriff in town.
Man,
After 6 years of being in the wasteland of the NFL.
and now you guys got a real shot. I
We
mean,
do.
what's his name? What's the cornerback? Von Miller.
Yeah.
There's talk that he may come back.
Yeah.
So you guys might have some stuff going on there.
He wants to. I've been following his Twitter. He's been practically begging and pleading to come back.
Hey, I don't blame him, man. You know, Russ is there, and maybe Russ will get Richard Sherman, and maybe they'll even get Beast Mode to come out of retirement. Who knows?
Hey, let me tell you something. This new rookie that we had last year, Javonte Williams, he runs like Beast Mode on steroids.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you guys, you have a threat in the backfield. So
yeah. And Melvin Gordon might come back. So nice. We'll see.
Well, what are you drinking tonight, man?
Well, in honor of the celebration, I went and got a Cabernet. I haven't had a Cabernet in a long time, so it's Chateau Saint Michel, I think.
Oh man, and a decent one too. Me, I'm drinking Hennessy, some cognac, because
you went up.
Listen, that cab is a nice cab.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it tastes pretty good. It's very smooth.
But this right here, I invested in some proper brandy snifters this week, and here, I got to say this because I was actually, my office is like really just kind of sparse right now because I gave my kids my old bookshelves. The guy was supposed to come in and do my wall-to-wall towering 10-foot bookcases, and and it snowed today. And he said, he's like, dude, he said, he said, in order to do this, I've got to be outside cutting wood and all of that. So he said, we're not going to get it done. So hopefully tomorrow, if the snow, the snow has started to melt, and we'll see. So Aaron, today's subject is on you, brother. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have a transparent moment here, take a risk. So one of the things, what I was thinking about for our topic is religion, specifically the Christian religion, and how it stunts our growth as individuals, and how it prevents us from self-actualizing. And I got to thinking about this because the whole framework is slavery. We could talk about that too. It's the slavery of religion, right? Mm-hmm. The God that we worshipped, should use air quotes, I guess.
Yeah,
was very much totalitarian dictator, and you had to give all your power away. There's so many things I could say, so much wrong with the group, especially that I came out of. But just in general, you got to make Jesus Christ Lord of your life.
Yep.
So you're surrendering your decisions, your moral decisions, if you're radical and sold out where you live, what you do, everything comes from the Lord. Now, the group that I came out of was, got heavy into the whole apostolic restoration, new apostolic reformation, heavy in discipleship. And discipleship is this, right? Discipleship it's even in the Bible. Jesus said, a student is not above their teacher or their master, but a student who's fully trained will be like their master. And so the idea of discipleship is that you reproduce yourself. And that's where this whole idea of spiritual fathering came in, that you have a spiritual father that is reproducing himself. And just the whole idea, I don't know how many people come from that arena, but it's fairly big in the charismatic world. Just the idea that you have a spiritual father. I remember being at a conference that had all the big names there, Derrick, 2016, all the big names. I could rattle them off. And it was a kind of a convening of what's next for the charismatic movement. And I remember sitting there, and there's these men. I'm not going to call them old men. I'm going to call them men with fully gray hair.
Wait a minute. Hey, hold on.
I know. That's why I wasn't saying old. Man whose hair had fully turned white. And they're calling some other dude their daddy, their spiritual father.
Oh, you know what's really funny? When you have an older guy calling a younger guy his daddy.
Yeah. And if that doesn't scream immaturity, I don't know what does. I mean, fortunately, I didn't get sucked into that part of it because I thought I already had a dad. I don't need another one. I'm a full grown man. I never got sucked into that. But a lot of guys did, right? And then this whole idea that we are sons. I think you put a post on Facebook, something about sonship or something like that.
Yeah.
Recently. Yeah. And I got to thinking about this whole idea of being sons, being sheep. If we think about these metaphors, you know, if you're a son, you're still calling somebody daddy, so you're not fully grown up. So you're immature, right? You're immature. Right. If you're a grown man and you're looking for a daddy, you got issues. You got stuff you got to work through. You got something is there. And so we create this whole structure and this whole system that perpetuates immaturity. And if you're a sheep, then you need a shepherd. So I think hopefully people are getting the point here. You're always looking outside yourself for something that you don't have. Yeah. If you're a sheep, then you got to be led by a shepherd. And so all of these things then take away opportunities for growth, self-discovery. In a way, it perpetuates immaturity because it simplifies life for us. If I don't have to think about a decision, then it's made for me. I'm good. I don't have to sit there. I don't have to do any kind of introspection, reflection. I don't have to do any thinking. You don't
give it over to. You don't give it over to God, Aaron. You don't give it over to God. What do you say?
Okay. So this is my transparent moment, right? So I got radically converted when I was 18 years old. Went through some pretty tough stuff when I was 16, 17 years old. And the whole, like what drew me, some of the stuff that drew me, Luke 4:18 was my life verse for a long time. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he's anointed me to heal the brokenhearted, you know, the whole thing. Give sight to the blind, set liberty to the captives, all that stuff. Yep. And then there's a proverb that says, you know, there is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. And so what we do is we talk about this relationship with Jesus. We talk about this unconditional love, supposedly, that comes from God, even though it's completely conditional. But we call it unconditional love. And so we give people this idea, or I got this idea anyway, that we can use Jesus as our emotional crutch. Now, fortunately, I never bought into the Bride of Christ stuff too much. In fact, I got in a lot of trouble for teaching that we weren't the Bride of Christ. But you think about these metaphors, son to a dad. And then there was this whole movement about healing your wounds, inner healing, and you know, father wounds, and finding your daddy, and giving all this stuff to Jesus. And so that was my emotional crutch, right? That was, I mean, I hate to say it like this, but like, my best friend was my imaginary friend.
Yeah.
And that's embarrassing to admit. Mary Ann, you're just naughty. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, let's just pray, stand in agreement that Mary Ann won't get into Facebook jail again.
That's what I was just thinking, Derrick. So when I deconstructed, or this process really kicked into gear in 2016, I went through some pretty rough stuff because I realized that I had not fully grown up yet. There was a lot of gaps. There were a lot of things that I had to assume responsibility for and work through. Some of that was shadow work. Some of that was working through traumas. And I realized, you know, what I needed when I was 17, 18 years old, like, I needed a counselor. I needed a good friend. I needed social and emotional support. So if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of human need, where we get this idea of self-actualization, that you cannot be self-actualized until your needs are met. And one of the levels of need is social and emotional. And that was to a large degree missing in my life. Completely missing. And that's what I was looking for at 17 or 18. I was looking to have those social and emotional needs met, right?
Yep.
And so I realized that the last 6 years or whatever, I've had to play catch up. And, I've gone through some seasons of depression. I was on anxiety medication for a while, a couple years ago. And all of that, in my opinion, looking back on it today, was playing catch up. Grow up, catch up.
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
That makes perfect sense.
And so I realized how, life is hard. I mean, life is the bride. Going off Mary Ann's comment there. And we have to engage stuff. And so Christianity, other forms of religion, spirituality give us what, clinically is called spiritual bypass. We bypass these issues. Give your hurt to Jesus. Like, how exactly does that work, Derrick? How does that work? I mean, how many times did I go down to the altar to give my hurts to Jesus or give my needs to Jesus?
Yeah.
And you walk down there, okay, so what? Like, you're standing in front of a bunch of people lay hands on you, they try to push you over sometimes. And I figured out if you stand, like, I figured this thing out early on. Like, and there were people that moved in real power.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I figured this out. If I wanted to get out of there quick, I would do a courtesy drop. I just make sure the ushers were behind me.
the trust fall.
I called it exactly. We do that every Sunday. And so I did the courtesy drop, the trust fall, or I figured out if I needed more prayer, you don't fall.
Yeah.
Because they'll get a whole team around you. They'll get a whole team of people around you praying for you until you eat carpet.
Oh, listen, especially if everybody else is falling and you're the only one that isn't. Oh, they're on you at that point.
Yeah, I embarrassed some preachers in my day. I can tell you that right now. So that's my intro for this.
And that is a lot of information. But I got to say something funny about the whole bride of Christ thing, because I've said this before. I said, if we're the bride of Christ and Jesus was tempted in every way, but he never sinned, right? Then that means that when we all get to heaven, we're going to get a good Jesus shagging. Dudes too. Everybody. You're getting fucked and you're getting fucked and you're getting fucked. Sorry, I had to put that out there, because that, I said that before, and people get mad, but this whole thing about sonship, sonship is basically, I'm trying to figure out how to write this out, right? But basically, what we know to be Christianity is like this huge exercise in turd polishing. It's who can polish the best turd, who can make this shiny, who can make this pretty, who can make this appealing, and so watch this. It's like, okay, who can come up with the best revelation, right? And this person with the best revelation is going to have the best attendance at conferences, is going to have the best book sales, is going to have the best attendance in their church, all of these different things, because it's like, basically, I'm trying to figure out how to polish the turd. But what nobody is willing to admit is that it's a turd in the first place. You can't candy coat a rabbit turd and call it an M&M. You can't do it. So I've said some really provocative stuff here. So let me get down to some really meaty stuff. And it's this, like, one of the things you said, this self-realization, self-actualization, introspection. It's like religion takes all of that away from you. Christianity takes all, just give it over to Jesus. Cast your cares on him because he cares for you, right? And people will say, well, they'll say you shouldn't rely on religion, you should rely on common sense. As well, if you rely on common sense, then you're not operating in faith. Right. And there is some science behind this. I mean, there are people that have done scientific studies and have pretty much concluded, I mean, it's pretty much a consensus that religious people are less intelligent than non-religious people. And so that goes to the meat of the subject, and that's, does religion inhibit your growth? And hell yes, it does. It absolutely does. Because when you think, okay, I don't need to consider my problems, all I have to do is just stand in faith and wait for my imaginary sky wizard to come in and cast the magic spell, and everything's going to be okay. Let me just give an example of myself. Let me be transparent, because in the last 5 years, I've had some extraordinary health challenges. Some of them I talked about last Friday. But I also I was diagnosed with heart failure.
Wow.
You know, and I could give you the whole mechanics of it, but it was like, basically they were telling me, yeah, you know, we're going to have to put you on give you a pacemaker, defibrillator, and this, that, and the other, and it was serious. It was really serious, and I lost a lot. Me and my family, we lost a lot, you know, because I was out of work. You know, I was on disability. You know, things were tough, but you know, there were people, of course, that were praying for me, and some sending positive vibes. But what I said, I started asking myself, what do I need to know about myself and about this condition that I can turn this around? And so what happened was, long and short of it is that typically when you're a 50-plus-year-old man and you go into cardiology as a patient, you are a cardiology patient for life.
Sure.
Brother, I was discharged from cardiology. They said, you don't need to be here anymore. Your heart's functioning fine. Don't know what you did, but whatever you're doing, keep it up, because it's working, right? And it had nothing to do with my faith. It had nothing to do with prayer. It had nothing to do with God's favor. And I can prove it to you, because I know people that had heart failure and died.
Right.
Matter of fact, there was a friend of mine. I don't know if you were a mutual friend of his name was James Burt.
I don't think so.
And James was going through brain cancer at the same time I was going through my heart condition. And James was a serious praying guy, and he would, you know, we would talk. And I never met him in real life, but we, you know, I once, when I knew that he got sick, I made it a point to start reaching out to him, and so we started talking, and James would say, you know, he said, Brother Derrick, can you just pray with me? And so this was like back in my praying days, you know, right before, because actually he got sick right before I did. And so I'm praying. And long and short of it is that I survived, James didn't. You know, so what I learned, my takeaway from this was, and I said, well, if I ask for wisdom about this, and then I got to the point where I graduated from asking for wisdom, because I said, I'm not asking God, Sky Daddy, for wisdom. I'm asking the universe. And then I got to the point where I'm not asking the universe anymore. I'm turning inward. And I'm saying, what is in me that already knows about this situation that I can unlock to help me navigate this situation? And what I found, Aaron, is that almost 100% of the time that works. It produces results. You know, it's like it produced results about our relocation and buying this house. It produced results in buying a car. It produced results in investing. It produced results everywhere. Now, is it perfect? No, because I'm still working. You know, when I get to the point that I'm not working, then I can say, I'm really on to something here, boys and girls. You better pay attention, right? But the thing is, my situation, my life is pretty fucking awesome. And it has nothing to do with prayer, and it has nothing to do with religion. And I'm going to say this, and I'm on the record as saying this: I'm an atheist. You know, and I know you're not, Aaron, but this is what I say is that if I'm sitting around waiting for some nebulous God to look down on me, my poor, humble, wretched self, and open a window and pour out a blessing that I can't contain, I might as well just not do anything. Yeah. And this is where I'm gonna stop here on this point, is that all of you who are sitting up there under the window waiting for God to pour out a blessing that you can't contain, you better make sure it's not his fucking bedpan.
Make sure what? I didn't catch that.
Make sure it's not his fucking bedpan.
Oh.
I was ready for this one, man.
Has the lightning struck yet?
Yeah, and it hasn't, and it's not gonna.
So yeah, I mean, how does that work, right? Like, oh God, what a mind fuck, really. Like,
yep.
Does God just have to decide? Like this whole prayer thing that you're talking about, like, does God just, you got to change his mind?
Yeah, wait a minute. Everything happens according to God's plan. So if you're praying, are you blaspheming him?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to fuck with his plan.
Do you have to get the magic words right? Is it a democracy where if you get on enough prayer lists and prayer chains, then, you get enough votes? And so God says, well, okay, I wasn't going to heal the old son of a bitch, but the vote tallies in. I mean, that always bothered me. Like how's all that work, and how come sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't? How come this person gets it and that person doesn't? But one of the worst things in the world for me, I got to the point where I really had a problem with testimony services because there were too many exceptions, and I'm kind of a bleeding heart at times. And so my heart would always go out to the exceptions. The guy that comes up. I mean, invariably in these meetings, you have somebody, I was an alcoholic, I was a drug addict, I went up, got prayed for, went home, never had another cigarette, never had another, drink in my life or whatever. Well, okay, great. So then what about the 99 others that went up that night and got prayed for and went home still battling their substance abuse problem or whatever? Like you bypassed all the work that was necessary that other people put into changing those patterns and those habits about themselves or healing something inside themselves so they don't have to use substances to escape the way they're actually feeling inside. Like you bypassed all of that, and then that's supposed to be a glorious testimony. Like, how is that a glorious testimony? Like give me the guy that, went through the withdrawals and went through the group therapy and rebuilt their life after producing real fruit and real change through effort and through work, really. Yep. I mean, to me, that testimony is worth a lot more, if we're taking it in the paradigm of testimony services. So, my kid got healed of brain cancer. Well, what about the mom whose kid died of leukemia? Or how do they internalize that? How do they make sense of that for themselves? And too often than not, they come away feeling like something's wrong with me. God has rejected me somehow. It creates an inferiority complex in many ways. And that's why then people run from meeting to meeting trying to get I don't even know if he's still around, but the Benny Hinns of the world or whoever to pray for them, because God hasn't answered my prayers. I must not be righteous enough. Bible says the prayer of a righteous man avails much. Maybe I'm not righteous enough. Maybe I'm not anointed enough. So I got to go get more anointing. So lay hands on me. I got to, go to the next conference. I got to get the next healing line. It's really just, to come back around and say it really is a mind fuck.
Yep. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And, you were talking about sheep and sons and all of this other stuff. And basically what you're doing is you're abdicating your capability.
Yep.
And you're abdicating your responsibility. Because what you're saying is that, okay, God's bigger than me, so God's going to take care of this, right? It's like people are in troubled marriages,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, "Well, I'm just going to give it over to God." No, you need to get some counseling. You need to talk it over with your spouse.
Yeah.
You need to you need to put the work in.
Yeah, that's another great example.
Yep. I mean, and so you get
But
all of this. Go ahead. No.
Derrick, but what they don't teach, I'm going to get it wrong. Is it egalitarian that's equal and complementarian marriages that has the hierarchy structure?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, that's it. No, that's it precisely.
But unfortunately, even people that do go to marriage counseling in churches or go to marriage conferences, they learn this complementarian form, which is, that we have our gender roles, we have our so the man is the head of the household and the wife just has to submit. And if the wife would just submit, and we talked about this before, but if the wife would just submit and the husband treat her a little bit better, then, all is good. And unfortunately, more often than not, what makes the thing work is the wife comes back and submits. And so, a lot of these women in Christian marriages, they're married to guys that are completely emotionally unavailable, that just rule the roost, right? And so I know a lot of Christian marriages that broke up after 20 some years because the wife just got tired of doing all the damn emotional work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, like if you think about it, a lot of these marriages, these women are married to God.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, what is God? God is aloof. God is powerful, but God doesn't. God sometimes will respond to one problem but not another. So God is ambiguous, and so when you factor in all the attributes of what we suspect God to be, the husband is God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't behave, well, then he'll smack you down.
Yep. Oh, and try being a kid in that family, right? So I went to like parenting conferences. I remember I went to a parenting conference one time, and they taught you how to beat your kid right.
I've actually heard that.
Yeah, I actually was in one. I got this like piece of hair from my hat that's like driving me crazy. There, I think I got it. I was actually in. I mean, unfortunately, we hosted that in our church. I didn't really know what I was getting, and compared to abuse, their method was pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, and by abuse, I mean something that's leaving the child injured. But still, it's this aloofness. It's this emotionally closed offness. It's this spare the rod, spoil the child. Children, obey your parents in the Lord. This is the first. Listen to this. This is the first commandment with promise that it'll go well with you, and that you'll live a long life. And so, but unfortunately, a lot of those kids, it doesn't go well with them. And long life, I guess, who knows? Probably not outside the statistical averages. So,
so let's talk about this because people say, no matter what the situation, Jesus is the answer. And my response to that is if Jesus is the answer, it was a pretty dumb fucking question. Jesus is not the answer. Matter of fact, the only answer that Jesus is the answer to is if someone asks you who are the subject of the biblical canonical gospels.
Yeah.
Well, then the answer is Jesus, and you would be correct. You win in double jeopardy. But any outside of that, Jesus is not the answer. And again, you were talking about like people stunning their growth, right? How do you grow intellectually? You grow intellectually by solving problems.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you grow. Something comes on you that causes you to have to invoke your mental faculties to deal with this. And so it is this thinking that is that the fact that you can think. And here, let me say this too, because this is really important. Because as we we go into the light working and the metaphysical and all of that, we talk about talking about light and everything, and the reality is that shit, I just had a senior moment. I hate when that happens, and it's not the cognac. I haven't had enough of it yet. But long and short of it is that if you're thinking, people equate consciousness with thinking. That's the point that I'm trying to make. And yes, that we are conscious, right? Or we have a consciousness. And even though we may have a consciousness, we may not be fully conscious. And even if we are conscious, we may not be thinking. We might be here, but we may not be processing here.
Right.
We might be here and processing somewhere else, processing something else. And if you're not thinking and you're not in the moment, if you're not mindful of where you are at a particular point in time, and here's the thing, that what Christianity does is it defers the moment to the hereafter. It kicks the can down the road.
Yes.
That everything is going to be okay in the sweet by and by. But right now you're struggling. Right now you're hurting, and as long as you are willing to give the responsibility for fixing your situation to some imaginary playmate, it is never going to get fixed. And so again, we're talking about sons, we're talking about sheep, and even the Bible says, in order to enter into the kingdom of God, you have to be like what, Aaron? Little children.
Yes, exactly.
So what happens is they say, okay, I need to be childlike. I need to step back from my worldly thinking. Listen, y'all, pay attention here, because I'm going to tell you something. The worldly thinking may save your ass.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're thinking, okay, like for example, you say, well, I'm in pain. I have an autoimmune disease. Now, somebody has told me that smoking pot might give me some relief, might cause some reduction in my inflammation. And that's worldly thinking. But you say, no, I'm going to give it over to God. And instead, you're going to live your life wracked in pain, when there's something in the earth that you can partake in that will help you. Listen, I'm going to say something else here. Y'all listening? Grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's like, I'm raising my sons to be independent so they can handle things on their own.
Right.
You old enough for a car? Okay, you're old enough to handle the maintenance on this. Take your car to the shop, have it looked at. You're running a business off your computer. Okay, if you're having computer problems, find out where to take your computer to get it checked out. Right.
Yeah.
Handle your business, because I'm raising you to be independent. Do you know? And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna kick it back to you, Aaron. This is funny. You went to college.
Yep.
You got an undergrad degree. You got a postgraduate degree. You have studied, and so now you're a husband, you're a father, you're a teacher, all of these things. Why? Because you left some nest somewhere,
right,
and went to build your own, or you went to fly, or you went to run on your own. You got free. And watch this. Now that you are a professional, you're a clinical counselor. You don't go back to your school and say, what else do I need to get here? What did I miss here? You fully graduated. You have the paper on your wall saying that you've matriculated. Why is it then that church is the only institution that you never graduate from?
Dude, not only that, but if you're like in a denomination or part of a certain group, they tell you what to believe. They tell you what to preach.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to, like you're talking about, whoever gets the fanciest revelation or whatever earlier when you were talking about rabbit turds. But in a lot of places, they tell you what to preach. So when you were talking, I was looking this up. So I was looking down. I was looking this up because I couldn't remember what it was called. Have you heard of Bloom's Taxonomy?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Bloom's Taxonomy is the levels of thinking, and at the very bottom, so it's a pyramid, if you guys can imagine, or a triangle. At the very bottom, or at the lowest level of thinking, is being able to remember something. So your multiplication tables, language, reading, spelling, all that stuff, right? Remembering. So that's, you're being totally spoon-fed at that point, right? So that's the level of little kids.
Yep.
Then you have understanding. Okay, you can read, you can remember the words, but can you comprehend? So they test your reading comprehension. Can you comprehend what it is that you're reading? Can you understand it? That's the second level. And then the third level is application. Now, these are all the lower levels of thinking. So I want you to think about this. So again, okay, to use children, memorizing your addition, subtraction, multiplication, division tables, whatever, learning to read, learning spelling, understanding, able to comprehend, able to understand instructions, and then applying. Can you, if you figure out how to solve this algebraic equation, can I throw another algebraic equation at you that you can then apply your knowledge and solve that equation? I venture to say that religion stops you there. And that's why I think the studies show that people who are religious are less intelligent. I don't think it's inherently, like, you can hear that a couple different ways. You can hear that as, well, like somebody who maybe, never bought into religion might say, well, of course, I always knew they were dumber than me. You can hear that a couple different ways. Yeah. You can hear that as people that are less smart fall for religion. But the way I'm thinking about it is like working out. Like, I used to work out a lot, and I haven't in the last couple of years, and it shows, right? Yeah. And I haven't been to the weight room. I can only imagine how much it's going to show if I go to the weight room, because you use it or lose it, right? Muscles atrophy, whatever. So if you never are challenged, if you never allow yourself, or you're not allowed to be challenged into some of these higher levels of thinking, dang it, and the higher levels of thinking then are analyzing. Well, we don't analyze shit, because that leads to critical thinking. And you might start to question the bullshit we've been telling you on Sunday morning. So we don't want you analyzing. That's when what you said, where they say, and I've been accused of this a lot. Oh, Aaron, you're just too much in your head. You're just relying too much on man's wisdom. Right. You're just trusting in the arm of the flesh. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. That's just the natural mind, and the natural mind cannot comprehend the things of the Spirit of God. No, I'm using analysis. Right. And then above that is evaluating. So that's even worse. So analysis is, wait, something doesn't fit here. I'm looking at this. This doesn't sound right. These propositions that you're giving me sound contradictory to one another. I'll tell you what, perfect example of this, man. I'm going to tell you what, Kyle Butler blew me away last night with a post that I looked at. And why I never saw it, I don't know. But he said, if you believe in the Trinity, so you and I both know progressive Christians that are all about Christ, they can't answer the atrocities in the Bible. Right. They're appalled by them, just like you and I are. Yep. They're appalled at the genocide. They're appalled at the baby killing. They're appalled at the racism, that God is for one tribe or group of people in the earth above all others and wants to set them as the head and not the tail. They're appalled by basically everything in the Old Testament. So they have to come up with a solution to that. So they say God was revealed in Jesus. They developed this Trinitarian theology that God could not be understood in the book, and God could not be understood in the book, so he had to come in the flesh as a human being. The only problem is we had to write a book about him because he's not still here.
Right.
Like, you want to know what God's like? Look at Jesus. How?
Right.
But Kyle posted, and I shared it on my feed because it blew my mind. He said, if you're Trinitarian and you believe that Jesus was God and Jesus was always with God, then Jesus was with God when all those atrocities were being.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have it both ways.
You can't.
So when you start analyzing progressive Trinitarian, Christ-like, we're done with the Bible. I mean, because sure, yeah, I'm done with hell. That's an unpleasant belief. I'm done with the religious hierarchy structure because I don't want anybody telling me what to do. That's easy to get. That's obviously bondage and slavery and all the stuff we're talking about. I don't like the Bible anymore. The Bible's outdated. Karen Jones says here, I wanted to mention this. She says this is an example of that. Let's see if I can find it. It must be down a ways. Oh, here we go. She says, all you're speaking of, healing marriages, etc., is because religious people are applying 2,000-year-old culture and science. Mm-hmm. They wrote with the thinking the world was flat and believe it's inerrant and is what God said. So she makes the point there that, a lot of these progressive Christians, well, we don't want to stay stuck in a 2,000-year-old culture. It doesn't work today. So they can throw out the Bible, but they can't let go of Jesus. Right. They got to have Jesus. So they gravitate towards this Trinitarian theology, right? So analysis, any bit of analysis starts to say, hey, wait a minute. So Kyle was doing that, right, on his post. And then he's jumping up to the next level on Bloom's taxonomy, which is evaluating. Okay, now that we've analyzed it, analysis is just the questions and looking at this and something doesn't fit and reverse engineering and all that stuff. But then you have to make an evaluation. Is this true?
Assigning weight to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so based on that analysis that Kyle did, then I was able to look at evaluate that and say, holy shit, how come I never saw that before? And then the top, you're going to like this one. At the top of Bloom's taxonomy of higher, and so each one of these things represents a higher level of thinking.
Right.
So what I'm saying is that religion keeps you at the 3 lower levels of thinking and does not give permission to you to go to any higher than that. Because if you go higher than that, the structure begins to break down. At the very pinnacle of his pyramid here is creating. So let's talk about how religion stifles creativity.
That's that. Rock on.
I mean, I don't know if I threw too much. If people are interested in that, just Google Bloom's taxonomy, and you can see, basically what he's saying in his theory here is that to go to another level requires a greater amount of energy, a greater amount of work, and more synapses firing in the brain.
Yep.
So yeah, people are less intelligent, not necessarily because they were just stupid and fell for it. They're less intelligent because they bought into a system that did not allow them to process up to higher levels of thinking, or gave them an excuse and gave them permission to not.
Okay, so watch this. It's not necessarily that religious people are dumber, that they lack the intelligence quotient, but they're hobbled.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was thinking about this movie, Misery. That had Kathy Bates and James Caan in it. And basically she was a big fan of his, and she trapped him, and she began to break his legs to keep him from escaping. Right. And that's what religion does. It literally breaks your intellectual legs.
Yep.
So that you can't move. It likes you to be at a certain spot. And here's the funny thing, right? The Bible, the people that canonized the Bible, these were smart people, and they put safety valves in the Bible. I'm going to write a blog about this because when I saw this really blew my mind. Because like I'm reading this book called Caesar's Messiah right now. That I thought Christianity was fucked up, but it's truly insidious when you look at this stuff. But basically, um, the idea is, what can we do to keep people stuck? And so when they were canonizing scripture, they wrote things in like, in the latter days, knowledge will abound, and all of these things that basically they understood that eventually people are going to get smarter, because that's what happens as technology, as knowledge, as all of these things become more diffuse and more democratized. People are going to grow. And so what they had to do is they had to put something in the book that's a check valve on that when people get too smart, you can say, oh, well, see, the Bible says it. The Bible says it. And it really doesn't say anything about that. It's like that's how they chose to edit it, because they knew that sooner or later, like at the time that the Bible was canonized, most people couldn't read.
Right.
Books were not available. Secondary education, post-secondary education, it was only for the wealthy. Right? So you have all of this. And so what these people did when they canonized scripture, they put some check valves in, because they knew that sooner or later people would get wise to the jig. And eventually, they get wise enough to want to leave. Well, how do you prevent that? You have to say something about, well, intelligence. The Bible speaks of that. God said that people would get so smart that they would want to just throw away the faith and all of that. No, it isn't that. Listen, when people used to, they would have epilepsy, and people thought it was demon possession. People would have diabetes, and they thought that it was because of some sexual impurity, because urination is a part of the diabetic breakdown, right? So all of these things, but once science kicks in and says, no, epilepsy is because of some breaks in the synapses of the brain that cause a misfire and create a seizure, right? It created basically an electronic short circuit in the brain. Or diabetes, it's like where the body, because of autoimmune conditions, stops producing islet cells, and so now it's not producing insulin. It has nothing to do with anything spiritual, but the thing is that people believe that this is what it is. But what happens is that science comes along, knowledge comes along, education comes along, technology comes along, that absolutely kicks all that stuff in the nuts. And then people say, oh, well, see, the Bible said it. Knowledge puffeth up.
Wow.
And it's crazy. But the thing is that all of these things, I believe, were included in scripture, Aaron, for the express purpose of hobbling us mentally, arresting our development.
Yeah. Yeah. What, I wanted to jump in when you were talking about misery, because didn't she do that to the author because she loved him so much?
Yeah, exactly. I love you.
Break your ankle.
Yeah, break your ankles. I mean, but that's what religion does.
What religion does, brother. Yeah, we love you so much. Like how many times did somebody use, I don't know if you were ever around this, but how many times did somebody use, there's a verse in Proverbs that says open rebuke is better than hidden love.
Yeah.
And, well, I love you, and that's why I'm rebuking you openly. When really, I always read that as nobody likes open rebuke. That means if you love somebody, you need to tell them. I read that verse totally different. That it's worse to hide love from somebody than it is to openly rebuke them. Not, I love you, so I'm openly rebuking you, which is how it gets used in churches. But anyway, I'm really digressing here. So let's just talk a little bit about how does religion stifle creativity? So one of the things that comes to my mind is there's a real so we can talk about the conflict between religion and science, and religion is always afraid of new technologies. Like I remember when the internet became a thing in the 90s or whatever, and I had some Christian friends that said that was, the mark of the beast.
Mark of the beast, yeah. www.
UPC codes were the mark of the beast. I'm sure cryptocurrency, if it ever gains traction, is going to become, they're taking our money away. All that stuff. So
the COVID vaccine.
The COVID vaccine, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely there. But how has religion been at odds with the arts? Now, I can tell you with certainty, God, I got in a fucked up group, man. Like, I was strict, dude. Like, all right, so late 80s, early 90s, I'm coming into this thing. And my jam was heavy metal, right? I mean, I loved Appetite for Destruction with Guns N' Roses, and I loved Operation Mindcrime from Queensryche, and Metallica was just, coming into the forefront, and all this stuff, right? And I pick Appetite of Destruction in particular because there was no question that was ungodly music, no question. And so we weren't allowed to listen to secular music, right? And I think I burnt and bought at least 3 copies of Appetite for Destruction. Because there was something in me that enjoyed it for its artistic quality. And I would get tempted. The forbidden fruit at the music store would pull me in. And I would think, God damn it, I just going to listen to it a little bit. And think about this. I mean, I'm 18, 19 years old, right? So I'm listening to Appetite of Destruction, and oh man, they get to Rocket Queen or one of those others. And the woman's making sex noises in the song. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit, this is just going to make me want to masturbate as an 18-year-old, So I got to take it and throw it in the fire. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Oh, I'm so sorry. My spirit is willing, but my flesh is weak. Please forgive me, Lord. Lord, forgive me, Lord.
Mine was the 2 Live Crew.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not even talk about hip hop. Like hip hop was completely out of the question.
Now, it's like I liked a lot of the stuff that you like. You mentioned Queensryche, which I'm a big fan. But it was like to me, the 2 Live Crew was like a Richard Pryor album set to music.
Sure.
So. And again, it was like I'm listening to this, and then when I went through my religious conversion, right, and I'm going to give my life over to God, it's like all of this stuff I got rid of it. I just got rid of it. I threw it away.
Yeah. Well,
but I got to say this true story. On Arsenio Hall's show, there was Arsenio Hall had Spike Lee and Luther Campbell, aka Uncle Luke, on his show, and Spike Lee went in on Luther Campbell to the point where they had to go to commercial break, and Luther Campbell left, right? But then he came back and he did a one-on-one interview with Arsenio Hall, and he said, Spike Lee said that that I'm evil and that I don't, care about people and that all of this other stuff. He said, he said that I control my entire supply chain. He said, I write, I produce, I master, manufacture, and distribute all of my material. He said almost 100% of the profit from my music I make. He said, he said, I employ thousands of people. He said, who is really, who's really fucked up here?
Come on.
And so I'm saying this about creativity because
I know where you're going.
Whenever you get to the point where you say, okay, this is the point that I will go and I will go no further, right?
Right.
And I always ask myself, like, what would have happened if somebody like, say, John Lennon, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Prince, Michael Jackson didn't go too far? What would happen if they never went over the edge? Music, as we understand it, would be stifled.
Yeah.
Creativity would be shunned. And here's another thing too, like about religion, right? I said Michelangelo painted the frescoes in the Sistine Chapel. And the religious people will always say, see, God inspired Michelangelo to paint the Sistine. Do you know that there are so many little hidden innuendos and hidden Easter eggs in the frescoes of the Sistine Chapel?
Exactly.
Michelangelo wasn't inspired by religion. He was mocking it.
Yeah. Yep.
Michelangelo's David, that's a famous sculpture. It was an ode to nudity, to the naked male form, because Michelangelo was bisexual. So basically, this David was not some religious thing. This was some dude that he had the hots for.
So I gotta throw in here. Jeanette says we threw away some really good music, and let's not forget playing the records backwards for the demon.
Oh yeah,
remember Stairway to Heaven?
Yep, Stairway to Heaven. Watch this, Prince's 1999.
No,
playing that backward.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah,
I knew about Stairway to Heaven, and then Turn Me On, Dead Man. I don't know, one of the Beatles songs. That's backwards. It says Turn Me On, Dead Man. I can't remember which song it is. It's off the White Album, I think.
Oh, it's like Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit. Playing that backward is supposed to release some satanic message, and it's supposed to conjure the devil.
And then I don't know if you remember Kilroy was here from Styx, but they came around in the 80s and kind of mocked that whole thing. But you know what's worse than having to give up all that music, Derrick?
What's that?
Having to pretend that you like shit like Stryper and Petra, you know, the guy that flunked out of Head East, and Jeff Fenholt. Man.
You know what? Check this out. This is a true story. Someone I know close to me and my family used to be in the gospel group Commissioned.
Okay.
And so when there were 3 guys from Commission from Detroit and 3 that were from Atlanta or from Georgia. And so they would always come up to Detroit to record. And so one of the guys in Commission, he would be in the car, and these guys are listening to Prince and Michael Jackson and all of that, and they're trying to figure out what their next groove is going to be.
Right.
And this guy wound up leaving Commissioned, leaving all kinds of money on the table because he thought that was devil music.
Golly. Anna, come here. Sorry.
And you look at guys like Fred Hammond. Fred Hammond is filthy rich now.
Right. Right. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, it's like, trying to what is it like? I used to try to listen to all of these gospel artists Lecrae and Ty Tribbett and all of them, because I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm listening to good godly music for my kids so that I'm giving a good example to them. And so they're, and they grew up listening to this stuff. But what they would do is, like, I found this out. My oldest son, he was listening to old school hip hop. He was listening to the Roots. He was listening to Arrested Development. He was listening to Digital Underground, Biggie, Tupac, and all that. He's listening to all of this stuff, right? And so his whole musical framework was really, really progressive. And I'm like, and so later on, as I'm veering away from religion, and I'm talking with him about this, and he's like, oh yeah, he said, yeah, I was listening to this, and he said, and I exposed the younger ones to this too. So while I'm trying to protect my younger ones, he's exposing them to this other stuff, and so they have a very high musical consciousness. I mean, you actually talked with Ducey in an interview, so you kind of know where, and Ducey and my oldest son, they're kind of like the most developed in that space, but they're all like, kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can't stop laughing about some of that stuff. It's so crazy, so crazy. I'm having my own senior moment now because I was going to come back with something, but I forgot what it was. It was silly on the music thing. Oh yeah, I was going to tell you this. So I don't know if you remember the movie Lost Boys, about the vampires. Kiefer Sutherland,
one of my favorites.
Yeah. And there's the scene in there where you got this guy playing the saxophone, and there's a concert, and he's like naked from the waist up, and I mean, this dude's built, right? I mean, like, he's got the perfect 80s body, he's got the mullet, he's all greased up, and the women are all, drooling over him or whatever, and he's singing a song with the saxophone called I Still Believe. Do you know where that song originated? Russ Taff from the Imperials. Russ Taff wrote that song. It was actually a Christian song. Now, GD well.
Yeah.
He had to sell the rights to that song.
Yeah.
So everybody has a price, I guess. I don't know. I find that interesting.
It really is. But Lost Boys, that's one of my favorite.
I'm sure that was a DVD or VHS tape that I burned somewhere along the way.
Well, you know what? I remember when I first got ordained, right? I said, okay, I gotta give up all of the stuff. And one of the things that I had a collector's edition of the Godfather trilogy.
Oh man!
With a DVD with an interview with Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola. Right. Right now, I think this set is probably worth a couple of $100. Right. I gave it away. Because I was like, I got to go deeper into God.
Yeah.
I need more of him. And here's the thing. I had a friend who was very intellectual. I mean, I've always considered myself to be pretty intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
But this friend of mine, he's agnostic. And he's like, Derrick, he said, how does somebody as smart as you get caught up into teaching this bullshit? He asked me that question. Now, this is like almost 20 years ago. And at that time, I said, dude, there's nothing more intelligent than loving God. There's nothing more intelligent than recognizing that you're part of this creation, that you are his offspring, that you are created in his image, right? I had the whole thing mapped out. But then I look back on it now and I'm like, damn, dude was right. the fuck was I doing? What the, have you ever had that moment where you just say, what the fuck was I thinking?
Yeah. Yeah. Very much. It's humbling. Oh man. Wow. So anyway, so the church and religion and its war with the arts, right? It's war with creativity. It's war with the human spirit.
That part.
Yeah.
The war with the human spirit. Here's the funny thing, that spirituality approaches you with the sales pitch of improving your spirit.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does.
But what it does in reality is kills your spirit.
Yep.
It begins to slowly poison it. Think about this. If you are immersed in religion, can you paint a nude?
You just read my mind, dude.
Can
I was just
you
thinking about that.
Can you acknowledge in a lyric that shit rhymes with hit? Can you acknowledge that? And what happens is that religion will cause you to engage in these mental gymnastics, mental calisthenics.
Yep.
That will cause you to jump around something that might make sense.
Yep.
For something that is ostensibly pleasing to the religious sensibilities of people. It blows my mind. Let me say something, because back in the 1940s, Billie Holiday released a song called Strange Fruit. And the song was about the image of black men hanging from trees, which that's some pretty strange fruit.
Mm-hmm.
And Christians, white and black, decried that song as something demonic. Now, this song told a story, and let me tell you something. This song was so consciously awakening that it caused the FBI to be intimately involved with the life of Billie Holiday.
Wow.
But Hoover and his FBI couldn't have done this by themselves. They had to have the complicity of the religious community. In other words, she was saying something about the state of race relations in this country, and religion, what is ostensibly dedicated to the advancement and the promotion of Jesus, came out against it. And so when you talk about religion and creativity, music is one area, movies are another. There are actors and actresses that say that they would not do certain parts because of their religious convictions. there are like in the from the 1940s through the 1970s that automobile design had sex appeal as an undercurrent, and people like Bill Mitchell and Larry Shinoda had to tone or ratchet back their design. People like Raymond Loewy, they had to ratchet back their design language for fear of offending the religious sensibilities.
It's tragic.
Where would we be? You know what? I am of the mindset, Aaron, you talk about creativity. Let's just say fuck science for a minute. Let's talk about creativity.
Mm-hmm.
That if we were to have put a wet blanket on religion instead of putting a wet blanket on design, how much farther will we be ahead as a society? Because art,
come on, man,
advances the state of the art, and people don't want to acknowledge that. Art changes things, man. It's like Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol was a guy who, I'm going to tell you something. God damn it. If there was a prophet in the earth, Andy Warhol was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But again, religion put the kibosh on him because of his sexuality. Giorgio Armani, Gianni Versace, religion, religious people, religious sensibilities put the kibosh on people like that. So excluding science, let's just talk about art. That if religion were prohibited from interacting with the arts, just the arts alone, where will we be as a society? I mean, that's really powerful. And so when you talked about creativity, oh my God, you know, how much creativity is left on the cutting room floor because of satisfying religious sensibilities. I'm gonna stop and take a break.
And how would that have moved the needle forward? You know, because art does. I mean, art, again, the war against the human spirit. I mean, art speaks, you know, comes from the spirit, inspired, right?
Yep.
Inspiration, inspirited, and it speaks to the spirit. It speaks to the emotional realm. It speaks to the things that makes us human. I'll tell you what, you want to, I mean, I'm just going back in time, you know, just traveling through the timeline of my life. And I don't know why I'm talking to Ben here, Ben Urban, or Josh, or maybe some of you, Josh, I don't know how old you are, but some of you guys that weren't around in the 80s, you want to see something fun, look up Dee Snider congressional hearing. Ooh. From the 1980s, because in the 1980s there was a group, and I don't get this. I thought about this, Derrick, when you were talking about how they had to get religion to be complicit with the automobile manufacturers to get them to tone it down. And I remember the Moral Majority, and Tipper Gore specifically comes to mind.
Yep.
You know, of course, that was led by Jerry Falwell and some others, but there was this whole thing to ban certain forms of music that was coming out in the 80s because it was considered to be too whatever, not religious enough. I mean, it's very
parental advisory.
Yeah. And you want to see something funny, you know, those of you that haven't seen it, just go on YouTube and watch Dee Snider. He testifies.
I love Dee Snider. He
testifies before Congress, and that dude, oh my God. I mean, that should be enshrined somewhere. Like, because what was so funny about it was he had written a song about surgery, I think it was. something something about surgery that had inspired his lyrics, but he had left it vague enough that it was open to interpretation. And they said it was about S&M. And he's sitting there before this whole, I think it was a Senate committee, and he says, he reads the lyrics to his song, and he says something to the effect of, if Tipper Gore finds S&M in these lyrics, it's because of what's in her, not because of what's in the song. Or something. I mean, he like totally turned it. I mean, it's just it's the whole thing is brilliant. So anyway, I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but I might go back and watch that later.
I'm gonna go back and watch it tonight. As a matter of fact, just because you mentioned it.
But those of you that missed that, that weren't alive for that or weren't around for that, it's special.
William Albert says, we're not going to take it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Twisted Sister.
Yes, sir.
See, y'all didn't think my black ass knew about that, did you? Surprise.
Yeah. You're super cool, Derrick. You're super cool, man.
But yeah, I want to say this, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my closing in here, that religion, Christianity in particular, because and here's the thing, I get a lot of blowback from people. They say, well, you talk about Christianity, but you don't talk about Islam, you don't talk about Hinduism, and honestly, I don't know about that shit.
Exactly.
I that is not my frame of reference. But
right.
I was a pastor, a theologian, a bishop, an apostle for the majority of my adult life. So I know this shit inside and out. I really do.
Yeah.
And I know it enough to say unequivocally that it's bullshit. And that I wasted so much of my life. Now, that being said, if we talk about scientific advancement, if we talk about intellectual advancement, if we talk about artistic advancement, you can go down this line and you can see almost in real time how religion has stifled all of that. How humanity had the chance to advance, the chance to grow, the chance to change. And I'm going to say this, and this is another thing where I'm thinking about writing this, is that there are certain points in time, certain movements that threaten to unite humanity.
Yeah.
Let me go through some of them. Abolition.
Yeah.
Jazz.
Yeah.
The drug culture. Rock and roll.
Yeah.
Disco. And hip hop.
Yeah.
Why are all of these things special? Because Black people and white people and Hispanic people were all involved. All were engaged in all of these movements. And do you know what is the common denominator of the demise of them all? Christianity. Christianity fought. It's funny because people will say, well, Derrick, there were Christian abolitionists, but there were more Christian accommodationists than there were abolitionists.
Yeah.
There were more Christians opposed to jazz. And I told my kids this story, and this is funny because I was just like last year old when I learned this, because in gym class, we used to do square dancing. And I used to ask myself, I go back into my 6th grade mind and say, why the fuck are we square dancing? Physical fitness has nothing to do with square dancing. But yet here we were. Well, what I found out is that Henry and Clara Ford thought that the influence of jazz and rock and roll would create a licentious society. And so because they had influence in the Detroit public schools, they gave grant money to the Detroit public schools under the condition that they would teach square dancing because they thought that country music was wholesome. Wow. Here is a shining example of how religion fucked up a whole bunch of people. Because instead of, and listen, I'm going to tell you something. You know, you can say what you want about dodgeball, but there are some life lessons to be learned in dodgeball. But dodgeball, basketball, gymnastics, soccer, whatever, all of these things, they could have spent more time on that, but we had to spend 25% of our time learning to do a do-si-do and a promenade that would never, ever, ever impact our lives in any meaningful way because somebody thought that the music that we listened to was devilish. This is how religion fucks things up. Because here's the thing. Religion wants power more than anything else. It wants power more than anything. It wants power. Listen, religion wants power more than it wants money. And y'all gotta process that.
Yeah. And you got to realize too, they don't get power unless they take it from you.
That's right.
I think
because you have the power.
Yeah. So just to bring things full circle for me, Russell Wilson is now my quarterback.
You goddamn right.
Sorry, Seahawks fans. You guys got screwed in the deal too, by the way, because I know the players they sent you.
Rams and the Broncos. Rams and the Broncos in the next Super Bowl.
They ain't all that. But sports. I mean, sports can divide us, right? Unless you know how to. I mean, some people are just radically fanatical about their teams, and that their team loses, they're pissed off for a week, or their whole life can revolve around that. So that can become kind of tribal. But just listening to you talk, the arts, maybe more than anything else, the arts can unify and unite us. And I'm just thinking about all the artists I enjoyed from every spectrum of humanity. Music, films. I mean, that's, again, it speaks to our human spirit. And so it's no wonder, this has been a revelation for me tonight, because you know about the conflict between religion and science, which maybe is intellectual development. Yep. But this just brings it really home to me about how much religion is at war with the human spirit, and unity, things that unite us. And it's such a brilliant point that you brought out, all those different genres of music that bring people together. I thought, absolutely, I will say this. I thought the Super Bowl halftime show was top notch. I thought it was super classy. Dr. Dre has a presence about him. I mean, if you want to talk about the it factor, I mean, that man stands on stage at whatever age he is, right? And you just feel it. You just feel it. And I love how he has given platforms and gave that platform to the people that have been connected to him, like Snoop Dogg and Eminem, and Mary J. Blige, and even 50 Cent even got in there. But my favorite, probably my favorite, bar none, without a doubt, my favorite halftime show, most memorable halftime show of all time was Prince. And singing Purple Rain in the rain was magical. And that's my final word.
Now, I'm going to say something about that. I'm going to use this platform because many of you may or may not know that Morris Day of Morris Day and the Time is my brother. That's my older brother. And I'm very, very, very proud of him. I don't talk about him much because I've never wanted to piggyback on his fame. But I'm going to say this, that the Prince estate, not Prince, because when Prince was alive, he introduced Morris Day and the Time as Morris Day and the Time in several live shows. So this was something that was okay with him, but it's not okay with his estate. And so my brother had posted something because he had been issued what was effectively a cease and desist order to not use that name publicly.
Wow.
Now, Morris Day, that's his name. You can't control that. But the Time is a brand that he built. And again, this is not so much religion, y'all, but it's the religious mindset that seeks to stifle my brother and his brand. So I'm going to speak out about that.
I forgot about your brother's connection with Prince when I was talking.
No, because here's the thing: is that Prince was cool with the whole thing, but Prince is dead, and now it's up to his estate to do right by my brother.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the because when you talk about halftime shows, basically it was Prince's halftime show, followed by the Dr. Dre halftime show. That's the pecking order, and I don't care what anybody says. But
I'm with you.
What I will say, and here's the other thing too, is that in both cases, the people that had issues with the Prince halftime show, with the Dr. Dre halftime show, with the Janet Jackson halftime show, with the Katy Perry halftime show, it's always the religious people.
Dude, like what the fuck? Don't we have bigger things? And like, can't you go after something bigger than a freaking halftime show? Like, like that just goes to show. That just goes to show how much of a threat the arts are to religion. Yeah. When you got nothing better, when there's something better going on in this crazy mixed up world that we're living in right now, then you know what Snoop Dogg was smoking a joint before he got on the stage. I mean, or what? Or Eminem took a knee. And the national anthem wasn't even being played, and who knows? You know, right. I mean, I think he's been very vocal about his solidarity with Colin Kaepernick, so I have no doubt that he was doing that as a statement. But who knows? Maybe he was doing it for Tupac. Who knows what he was thinking? And to get all lathered up about that, yeah. All right.
So let's go through some of these comments, man, and then see if anybody. Let me put the
Garth Brooks. Now, Garth Brooks. You remember when Garth Brooks tried to do the rock and roll thing with an alter ego? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Now I gotta say, he's a great performer live.
I love Garth Brooks.
Yeah, he's great.
So I just put the link out here in case anybody wants to join in. John Knight, I see you out there, man. Go ahead and jump in. Click that link. I dare you.
Seattle. Mary, aren't you from Seattle? Mary says Seattle doesn't deserve a good team. Oh my God. Well, they got ripped off in the trade. I can tell you that right now. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Seattle got they took one. On this.
I tell you, that new GM for the Broncos is a character.
Well, the one thing that I'll say about John Elway is a cat that wants to win Super Bowls.
Yeah,
that guy is a competitor on and off the field. You know,
yeah. True.
So he's going to do what it takes.
He stepped aside. He's turned it over to a new guy named George Payton.
Really?
And that guy's sharp, man.
Okay.
Yeah, last year he elevated himself and handed over the GM duties, and then now he's just an outside consultant.
Okay.
Somebody said something funny here. What did I see?
Jeanette says, "Gotta love the courtesy drop."
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not sure I'm saying this name right. Bronchi Smith. I hope I said your name right.
Oh, Bronchi. That's my wife's cousin. Yeah.
Okay. Islam is the writing of a pissed off Christian.
And that's basically the truth. Because here's the thing, people they think Islam is ancient, and it really isn't. Islam is a knee-jerk reaction to Christianity. That's what it is.
Ben Urban says her husband founded the internet, which opened Pandora's box to all sorts of digital debauchery. So wait, Ben. I think if you go watch that thing with Dee Snider, I think Al is in the video. I think he's actually on the committee, if I'm not mistaken.
So Karen Jones says
testified at those hearings too. Yep.
Yep. Karen Jones says her husband was on dialysis and a cardiac patient for 11 years, and she hoped every day that he would be well. In the meantime, she sent his ass to dialysis. That's what she said exactly. Researched every possible technology that might be coming and made sure he got the best medical care. Believe all you want, but cover your ass with knowledge and brains. You're goddamn right, Karen.
Yeah. Mary Ann Jenkins. Okay, now we know why she's in Facebook jail. She says, I posted nude photos on Facebook for my many pastors to view. That might explain. Yeah,
that'll get you into Facebook jail, Mary Ann. I'm just kind of guessing, but yeah, that'll get you in Facebook jail.
Oh God, that's hilarious.
Just for the record, Aaron and I don't do dick pics, okay? Just so you know.
Glad you put that out there, Derrick.
Yeah, no problem, man. I am pleased.
Well, apparently not.
Well,
this one went off the rails, I think. Let's see. I'm gonna go listen to the Grateful Dead. Yeah, I like some of their stuff too. Backward masking. God, that was hilarious.
Ben Urban said, "Fuck some square dancing."
I think my sisters here in Colorado, I think when they were in gym class, they had square dancing, but it was a goner before I got there. So,
yeah, I mean, basically, this was Henry and Clara Ford. They were promoting this. They were giving grants to schools that if you did this, hey, we'll give you some money. And they're like, "Fuck, money, free money, hell yeah."
Mary Ann says we carry. I don't know. I'm sure this is like burning stuff that's not Christian. We carried it all to the dumpsters. Our porn videos, everything. Mary Ann, you got issues, honey. I'm just teasing.
Well, you know what they say. If you got more than one issue, you got a subscription.
There you go. There you go. 2 Live Crew.
Who said 2 Live Crew?
Jeanette. She said she had the tape. She said, "Oh man, 2 Live Crew. I had the
Jeanette,
tape."
You just went way up in my pecking order of people by admitting that you had the 2 Live Crew in your library.
Mary Ann's a raver. I'm not surprised. Master of the Puppets. Come on, man. Come on, Ben.
The religious one, a country western halftime show. Oh, I just heard the beep.
Man,
who is Travis Shaver? Well, we're gonna find out because he is on the air.
All right. Hey, Travis.
Ah, damn it. You don't have audio, man.
Oh.
Okay, click the little gear icon, right? And then make sure that it's whatever your device is, your phone. No, you're still silent, dude. It's the gear. The gear. You got to click the gear for settings, right? And then click your local microphone, your phone microphone. Where's my mother tonight? God damn it. Shirley, where are you? No. Travis, you're talking and we don't hear you, man.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we're gonna have to find a better tool than this.
Yeah.
Because
I wonder why there's problems with it. I don't get it.
I don't understand. I mean, it works for some people, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
Dale White says, noob. I don't see you checking in, Dale. You're talking shit, but you're not checking in.
Yeah, so we got a lot of comments tonight.
Yeah, a lot of comments, a lot of views, a lot of people watching. It says 17 in the live count right now, which is really good considering that we're in the twilight of this particular episode.
Yeah.
Ben says, did you post the link? I missed that. Okay, here we go, Ben. Here we go. Just for you.
If you guys want a blessing, you got to type it in.
What's that?
Oh, Ben says, come on, guys. If you want a blessing, you got to type amen. Dude, we got to figure out a way to make some money off this thing.
Yeah, for real.
I saw something. I've been watching these Broncos podcasts because I'm like a rejuvenated fan. And there was these guys on YouTube, I think, and they had the super chats. Have you seen those?
No.
So on YouTube, they have this thing called super chat where you pay money to get like your comment read or whatever. It's like $5, or you can set the prices. But these guys were doing a thing, and I thought, man, this would be great for our Tequila Tuesday, where if people gave like $100, this guy was gonna like guzzle a beer. If they gave like $200, he was going to take 2 shots of whiskey. If they gave like $500, he was going to take 2 shots of whiskey and guzzle beer.
Oh, hell yeah!
I thought that could work for us.
Yeah, I mean, if we set that up like in a Cash App or something like that.
Yeah. For every $50 donation, we'll take a shot of Fireball or something.
Oh my God!
A shot of tequila,
dude. That would be hot.
I mean, maybe every $10 donation. I mean, I don't want to get too fucked up.
William Albert said Gil Scott Heron. Wait a minute, William, I got to find out, man. Are you black? Because if you're white and know about Gil Scott Heron, man, you are suddenly my fucking hero.
Mary Ann, my goodness.
All right, I sent Ben the link in private email, and okay. I dropped it into the chat. Come on, Ben.
Jeanette says they are intent to have you fall. I don't know what that means. With the laughing face. Oh, falling. Yeah, that's right. That was the courtesy drop. That was the good old slain in the spirit days.
When I was thinking courtesy drop, I'm thinking about taking a dump. Where you drop it flush. That's the courtesy.
Even when I was in the thick of it, I called it a courtesy drop. When I was drinking the Kool-Aid, man, when I was having people fall in my own meetings, I thought, yeah, some of y'all just don't got it.
Oh my God. I was in Nigeria, and we had like this altar call that was it was insane. It was insane. It's like everybody you touch them and they just fall out. Hold on, here's Ben. Oh, he's got his hat on too. It was insane. Ben. It was
Hey,
insane.
hey, hey.
You touch them and they just fall out. Oh no, here's Ben.
Hey.
Oh, he's got his hat on too.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
I can hear Derrick in the background.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn up Ben's volume and turn mine down.
You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can hear Derrick in the background.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn up Ben's volume and turn mine down. Damn it, it's like echoing.
I'm hearing what I already said, so.
I don't know, man. How you doing, Ben?
I'm good. How are you, Aaron?
What would you like to add to the conversation?
I'm hearing a lot of different voices, so.
That's just your mind, bro. There's medication for that.
I'm hearing a lot of different voices.
I don't hear any voices. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you know? Hey Ben, did you know about D. Snyder and all that stuff? Is that on your radar?
Yeah, I've heard about that before.
All right, I wasn't sure. I thought you'd enjoy it if it wasn't. Did you know? Hey Ben, did you know about D. Snyder and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've heard about that before.
All right, I wasn't sure. I thought you'd enjoy it if it wasn't. Did you know? Hey Ben, did you know about D. Snyder?
So this audio is fucked up. I hear all kinds of echoes and voices and shit. It sounds like the pits of hell.
I know. I was just thinking this has to be some kind of like alien transmission or something. We're getting alien transmission.
So I'm not the only one hearing that, right?
No, I was fucking with you.
Hey, all I gotta say is the hat is fucking awesome.
Yep.
It's even more awesome than Aaron's hat.
It came in with Ben. I don't know. Ben brought the voices with him.
Yeah. Ben, you goddamn sorcerer, you.
Here we go. All right, that fixed it. Now, why does his feedback and ours don't? I don't get it.
I don't know.
Can you hear us, Ben? He can't hear us. Can you hear me now?
Ben, are you there? Earth to Ben.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
He can't hear.
I think Aaron had asked you a question, Ben.
Okay, I think we're good now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's that.
I keep hearing myself like 5 seconds after I'm talking.
Can you hear me now? Restream. God damn it. I'm paying for this shit.
You're paying for this, Derrick?
Yeah, I'm paying for this, man. I'm paying real money for this shit. Fuckers.
I'm sorry. It's the wine. It's the Cabernet, man.
This segment brought to you by Hennessy. When you absolutely positively have to get fucked up.
Like Derrick, like on my end, you sound so muffled now. Like you're so muffled.
Okay, well,
I can barely hear you.
Down. Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, see, I turned the volume down because.
Fuck. What's Beth doing back there? I can barely hear you. Okay, can you hear me now?
Hey, tell Beth I said happy birthday.
Oh, is it her birthday?
I think it was her birthday.
It's your Pisces?
Okay, I hear Aaron very well. You are a little muffled, and I'm hearing everything like 10 times in a row. It's not Beth's birthday.
That's not Beth's birthday? Okay, no problem. All right, play the fucking record backwards.
I would guess she's like a Leo or something.
That's not Beth's birthday. Okay. Let's do this. Hold on. Watch this. All right, play the fucking record backwards.
I would guess she's like a Leo or something.
You're not a Scorpio, right? So you're.
Oh.
She's a Libra.
Oh, a Libra. My sister's a Libra.
Hold on. Watch this.
I'll pray for you, Ben.
Thank you, Eric.
Just kidding, Beth.
My little brother's a Libra, so I can dig it.
Oh, a Libra. My sister's a Libra. I'll pray for you, Ben. Derrick just pops in and pops back out.
The same conversation over again.
I can hear it on your end. I'm not hearing it on my end, but I can hear it coming through your side of it. It's weird.
I can hear everything. It sounds like somebody playing the record backward.
What was that movie? What was that movie where?
I think we're good now.
What was that movie where the people could switch souls? The old people could switch souls with the young people. Was it The Gift?
Yeah, I think.
And they had that kind of record thing going.
Yeah.
When they would do it, that's what that makes me think of.
I haven't seen that one. The Gift?
I think that's what it's called. I'll get back with you on that and let you know for sure. But yeah. So what do you think, Ben? What are your thoughts on this topic?
Well, I would have to say that, I mean, just in general. Oh, shit.
Oh, here comes the Libra.
There's Beth.
No, I mean, at its core, Christianity, and as I like to say, exclusive religion, because I like to throw Islam in there too, and any other one that basically makes it that it's the only way, the way or the highway. It's very dehumanizing.
Yes, very.
Because it basically makes anybody that's part of it a slave, a mental slave, because you can't think for yourself. And if you do, it's the devil. It's something that, like, you can't trust yourself. Your heart is bad. Your head is bad. It's just ridiculous. I mean, and I don't know why we all bought into it at any point. Because ever since I started deconstructing, everything's been a lot more clear. And the inspirations are coming through. And I don't know where it comes from, but just that freedom. When you start asking questions, when you start challenging ideas, it starts making you think, like, how did I ever buy into any of this? Because, like, there's some simple questions that come to mind that have, like, a serious impact on this impenetrable force that is the gospel, that is this religion. I don't know. It just it's really funny how when you allow yourself to be free of it, how much you can see the bullshit in it.
Yeah, it's true, huh? It's because you're doing that higher level thinking, though. Like, you're out of the box, and so you can analyze, you can evaluate, you can be creative. I really do think there's something to that.
You know what I think is interesting about that is that all it takes is one step.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically have to just ask that first question, and then you go down that rabbit hole, and it just starts
Ben,
to,
you
like,
said
dominoes. The dominoes start falling over.
One step.
And so many people just don't even take that one step.
Exactly.
And I mean, because it's fear. It's fear of what's on the other side.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
But once you pass over, I mean, and I hate to say it this way, but to a degree, it's like you have to have faith that maybe there is something better out there. if you're struggling with this, like I know for me personally, like the last year and a half I was in seminary, I was really struggling, and I look at it as like a dark night of the soul type situation that just lasted for months and months and months, you know, because I just could not get on board with a lot of this stuff. I was hearing this and I was asking questions, and it was even starting to affect my homework because I was like writing stuff that was bothering my professors. Like, why is he asking these questions? Why? Maybe you don't understand this doctrine. I was like, no, maybe I do understand it. And I don't understand like why anybody wants to believe this bullshit, you know? I mean, it started just coming together like that. And eventually something happened where I knew there was no going back, and and it was that step. It was taking that step.
You know, so. I always say to people, go one God further. Go one God further. And that's the thing that most people are unwilling to do, because they think that it really stops at their God.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point.
But that's just me. Your mileage may vary.
I still want to do. I just every time I see Ben or think about him and Beth, I want to do a. I don't know, like a retreat or a conference or just a get together where we all hang out or something. Wouldn't it be great?
That would be so awesome.
Wouldn't it be great to meet in person and party and share ideas? And
yep. Plenty of alcohol, weed, maybe some psychedelics.
Oh damn!
I'm all about the smoke meat, man.
You know, this funny story, right? My oldest friend, he sends me a birthday card with weed in it. And I smoked some of it, but I was wondering where it went until, you know, we moved and I'm going through all of my stuff. And I said, hey, I found some of Leon's weed.
Oh, damn.
Oh, man.
I
guess so.
That's very nice.
Oh, Jesus. I think I may fuck with this tonight.
Unfortunately, Derrick, we live in a state that's not cool yet, so...
Yeah, you got to get out of the Bible Belt, man.
We're working on it, you know.
Well, that's okay. Oklahoma is all about the medical.
Derrick is in the freaking buckle of the Bible Belt, man.
Right.
Oklahoma is all about the medical. Dude, it's like there are like 8 dispensaries within a mile of my house. It's fucking amazing.
Well, yeah, one really cool thing about Beth's situation with her mouse is that she will be eligible for a medical marijuana card. So,
all right.
So that's one positive for what she's going through.
Yeah, she's really been through it.
Yeah.
A lot. So. Did you guys get COVID? Did she post something about having COVID or something? Did I see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
I saw that.
Oh, gee.
You know, we were fortunate to handle it really well. Like all across the board, all 4 of us we did pretty good. We were just so grateful because it didn't have to be so good. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear.
Well, I saw where your one boy, you know, you guys were dealing with like a cardiac kind of condition, and I'm glad to see that he pulled out of that.
Yeah, fortunately, it's nothing that's, you know, health conscious or anything. It's nothing dangerous. It's just a thing that.
Did he get the myocarditis? Because some of the younger kids are getting myocarditis.
What's it called again? That Asa has the heart thing.
Oh, he just has a heartbeat that's different. It's fine.
It's just
It's like an atrial something.
Yeah, an atrial.
Hey,
a heartbeat that's just out of whack, but it's nothing that affects his health.
Okay.
Tell Beth to stick her head in and say hi.
Stick your head in and say hi, honey.
Well, trying to. Okay.
Hey,
hi.
What up, though?
Hey, Beth.
Hey.
How you doing?
Good to see you.
Having a good day. I'm okay.
That's good.
Awesome. Good. A good day is a good day. Dale White says, any thoughts on a Spinoza type of God?
You're gonna have to catch us up on that, Derrick. I've heard it before, but I can't remember what Spinoza God is.
That was a famous saying that Einstein said. He said, "I believe in the God of Spinoza," and so Spinoza's God is this creative force, but not actively involved, right? And my thing is, I don't believe in any God. What I believe in is that energy is sentient, and that over 13 billion years, energy has figured out what to manifest itself as.
Right.
That's my take on it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you connect this to like a universal consciousness then?
Yes. But in the sense that energy itself is sentient. Energy itself has awareness. Energy itself has consciousness, and because of that, energy figures out what its best use is. But it ain't God.
Derrick hasn't quite pulled me over to the atheist point of view.
I'm not trying to pull you over, man.
No, I know you're
it's
not.
like,
okay.
yeah,
I know you're not. No,
but
I clearly know you're not. I
got to throw this out here, though, right? My man Keith Giles, right? Keith wrote an article about how he was, just really kind of over the top. And here's the thing: Keith is a really, really, really smart guy. He's a very intelligent guy, and this is what I believe is that if you are really committed to studying this thing out, eventually you are going to reach the point where you have to actually flirt with atheism. You're going to have to actually flirt with it if you don't actually give into it. But if you don't, you really haven't fully deconstructed. You haven't really gone to the edge. That's my thought.
Well, I don't think you can box in God. If there is a God, then it can't be boxed in. Or if you can simplify it into any one religion or a book, then it's not real. I mean, it's just some ideas. But
now,
I definitely hold a head and heart space for some sort of grander.
Yeah, I could start a group order
that we all kind of possess. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand.
I'll do that
completely, but I'm definitely.
I'm still recording. No worries.
I'm with you, Ben.
Thanks, Eric.
Sorry, guys. We're having food conversations here.
No, those are important. I'm gonna have to have mine in a minute. But no,
I mean, one of the things for me, like, we talk about prayer a lot. Prayer comes up a lot, and Derrick likes to really hammer home that prayer is bullshit. But I want to say one thing that I feel like for my view of it, it's not really, prayer shouldn't be a thing where we're praying to some magic intergalactic genie to like grant our wishes or some shit like that. I think what prayer is, via petition or intercession, is more when we collaborate as human beings with one purpose. We let our minds and our souls.
I'm with you on that. If we're talking about connecting with each other and we're talking about introspectively meditating, I'm all for that.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. But it's like when you're asking Sky Dad for some, to do something.
There's a video out there. I'll send it to both of you guys, and maybe I can put it in the links too. That a friend of mine from the UK sent me. That what's his name? Joe Dispenza talks about spirituality, but he talks about it from a scientific point of view. And if I had to articulate where I'm at right now in my beliefs, he says it much better than I can find the words to say it. But one of the things he talked about was that kind of the new language of spirituality is science, and he's bringing in, the quantum science and stuff like that, because it's less divisive than like religious language and stuff like that. But this guy has full-on healing and miracle services and stuff in his retreats. I've talked to people that have been to them. He talks about them. So I definitely believe there is something higher. I don't know if higher is the right word. There's a bigger picture. Yeah. And I don't think we see it clearly, myself included. So my issue, and it's a different kind of atheism than what Derrick's talking about, because Derrick's not a closed physical materialist system. There's nothing besides this biological life, and that's it. At least I think that's correct, Derrick. I don't mean to speak for you.
No, you're good, man.
And so, but I think when most people hear atheism, they think that it's naturalism. It's going back to, Newtonian physics, and this physical world is all there is. This biological body is all there is. And I don't think that's what Derrick means at all.
Like if you go to, if I can just cut in for a second, if you go to that, it's almost like a hardline fundamentalism for naturalism. Right. Like if, you're completely closed off to anything in the middle.
Yeah. You're not open to new information and stuff. And so, but if I can find that video, I'll send it to you guys. It's kind of long. And there's parts of it that are a little bit, I would take issue with, but for the most part, I thought he really articulated well where I'm at.
I definitely, especially being the husband of a self-proclaimed witch, and she is, in a good way. I mean, you throw that word around, it comes off so negative, no matter, what the audience in some cases. Right. But no, my wife is the real deal, and I know that there is magic in the world, and that might sound funny to some people, but it's real. So there is something supernatural going on, and there is definitely another level that has maybe just not been reached yet that can be understood in a scientific way. But I'm definitely one who has considered learning Reiki, because I do believe in like a kind of like a psychic healing, like a using.
It's like my wife is a Reiki practitioner,
and I'd probably go to one of our mutual friends, Vanessa Brooks, who I know she is a full-blown Reiki healer.
Yep.
And all kinds of other stuff. She's just a badass, and I love that woman. So I just had to drop her name and give her all the credit in the world, because she is really cool. And she happens to live in my state, so that's neat too.
So you guys should get together and do a live stream.
Well, I think we're working on something.
Sweet.
Unofficial, but yeah.
Sweet. I think Broadnax is in North Carolina too, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's not too far off either, and I think we're probably going to do something.
Oh my God, you guys, that's synergy, man. You guys need to get that going.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you guys can always come up to Oklahoma. Once it gets warm, it's like my backyard is like a fucking resort, man.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have no idea how much I would just love that. Getting together with you guys, like in person.
It would be amazing.
Just having a time. Well, that would be great. And we got to get Kyle Butler there too. I mean,
we got to get Kyle there.
For sure.
Now, I've actually had the pleasure of being with Kyle on multiple occasions, so I understand the Kyle package. Kyle is the shit. He really is.
He is definitely.
Yeah, he's one of the most authentic people I know.
Hey, who's got the music playing in the background?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the music we were playing to get our kid to fall asleep.
Luca, I'm like listening to it. I'm
dude,
like, really?
Dude, it's only 9 o'clock there.
Tender Anna, I'm not in Arizona anymore. I'm in Oklahoma now.
Kids fall asleep.
Dude, let me tell you about our experience, all right? My kids never took naps. Never took naps.
No,
and one of them is an early bird, and the other one is a night owl. Always been that way. So you would get Josiah to bed about 11 o'clock, and Elijah's waking up at 6.
Yeah. I mean, we've been going through that. Luca went through a phase there.
Dude, it's 9 o'clock there, and you're playing music to get him to sleep. Don't give me that. We've been through it.
No, trust me. We went through a season. We went through a season where Luca would not. He would wake up at like 3 a.m, and then we couldn't get him to go back down for like a month or 2.
Oh, now they never did that. They never did that shit.
Well,
6 weeks in.
Sure what now, I don't know if it had to do with COVID or what, but it wasn't fun. So
Elijah had this thing where he had to be held or rocked, or he would wake up for like the first 6 months. So we had to do shifts. So I'm more of a night owl. So I would be up till 2 or 3 in the morning with him, and then Julie would get up and take him, and I would go to bed. It's crazy. I don't know, dude.
Well, Asa climbs in our bed almost every night. And he's gotten really good, though, about not waking us up. Like, he'll slide in right between us real quietly, and then I'll realize he'd come in like an hour or 2 later. And he's just so smooth about it. But, eventually I realize it.
How old are they now, Ben?
6 and 3.
Oh man, those are great ages.
Magic. Let me tell you something, right? I always tell people this. Like my youngest now is 16.
Wow.
But when these guys were like babies, it was magic. It's like from the time that they were babies until they were like maybe 4 or 5. You have to take that moment and drink it in like the most exquisite wine you ever had.
Well, if it was up to Beth, they would just stay 1.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like my baby has a beard now. My baby has a beard. He's 6'4" and 300 pounds. Jeez. That's my baby. And it's like, I remember holding him. I work for Tyson Foods, and we live down the street from my office. So I used to go home for lunch every day, and I would sit up and hold this little baby, for my lunch break. And now he's bigger than me. I'm 6'1" and 260 pounds.
Yes.
My baby is 6'4" and 300 pounds, and he has a beard. And you just have to absorb every moment of their littleness. I'm telling you, it's like it's better than it's better than the best thing you'll ever eat or drink.
We look at our boys now at this point, and we can't believe how big they are. I mean, just it's like yesterday they were in our arms, and now they're.
I'll tell you what. When they get to that preteen age and they start becoming more adult, like they lose their baby features and stuff, and they lose they're thinking more and interacting more like an adult. Dude, like I'm grieving. Like I could see why some families have a sibling that's 10 years older than like the youngest, because it gets about 10 and you're like, oh, I missed that so much. Let's do it again.
Oh.
Trust me.
But I don't know. But no, I mean, they're just it's amazing, because just listening to them talk sometimes and how clear they are conversationally, like how much the language they've picked up and being able to just speak to you.
Yep.
That blows my mind. like the way they think and like putting together stories in their heads, or
enjoy
like telling us about their day and the way that they explain it. It comes off so much more interesting. Like,
enjoy it, man.
I want to read this story that you guys are telling me right now.
I'm with Derrick, man. Enjoy every minute of it.
Every minute of it. It's like, you know, listening to my little guys mispronounce things, and watching how they crawled and how they walked and all of that. And then I look at shit, man. It's like my oldest one. Fuck this guy. He squats 500 pounds.
Dude,
you know,
yeah.
and I'm just like, I remember when you were a baby, you know. And then and I have one grandchild from my sons, and it's like his son is about to be 1 year old, and it's like I remember, you know, having him sleeping on my chest, and now he's a dad and he's got a baby that sleeps on his chest.
Wow. Know? I mean, full circle there. I mean,
it is.
Circle of life for sure.
No, you guys, you know, you're talking about Derrick. You said about how you just remember about them mispronouncing like words or way to, you know, say things and everything. And I bet you both can imagine like how much that just bugs me, like as a wordsmith.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like for
having to correct me constantly. I don't want to, but I just like, oh, come on.
Yeah, it's like I'm all about grammar, you know, and it's like, and these kids they come in and they fuck it up, and you're like, oh my God, but you're like, oh my God, that's amazing, you know.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm gonna have to bow out. Speaking of boys, I got 2 hungry preteens upstairs, and I'm gonna have to.
I gotta order some Wingstop myself. So
yeah, you guys are behind me in time. That's right. So I don't want to hold you up, but
thank you guys. It's 7:25 here, man.
I've enjoyed this. This has been really great, guys, and I look forward to a day when we can all be in one place together. That'll be awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, all I have to say is that this year is my 60th trip around the sun.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, but I have 2 stepdaughters in North Carolina. And so I'm thinking that it's going to be there. That's what I'm thinking.
Let me know. Let me know. I'll come out.
Okay. I'm just.
I know you've been wanting to come this way anyway.
Yep.
Yes. COVID put a big cramp in my traveling style for sure.
It put a big cramp in a lot of things.
Oh God, I know, right? But hey, I figure I've been vaccinated, boosted, so that's 3 shots, and I got the Omicron. I think I did. I was the only one in the family that didn't test, and when I did test, I tested negative.
I'm guessing we had Omicron.
Yeah.
So I figure I'm golden.
We've been vaccinated, boosted, and we had Omicron. We've got double protection.
So like we're free of this shit. Like we can do whatever the hell we want now.
Yeah. So we can get together and hug each other and everything.
Yeah. If you've been vaccinated, boosted, and you've had one of the a million zillion COVID variants, then yeah, you're probably fine.
So I'm there. You guys let me know. Pick the date. I'm there.
Yeah, I'll check with my baby girls and see what they're what.
I don't know though. Beth's gonna have to get a lot of medical marijuana.
We're gonna put something together.
I'm not risking bringing it on the plane.
No, we'll have to get a plug. You know,
they'd be putting me in cuffs, and all the Pueblo pastor's prayers will be answered. Finally, God came through.
God has heard your prayers, brother.
Worst case scenario, we'll find some HPA beer and do something for us.
Hey, look here. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure this out. And then like my man Leon, he's down in Florida, right? And he's growing this shit. Yeah, so I gotta. I mean, the big thing for me is getting all my kids and grandkids together.
So yeah, I have a question for Aaron real quick though before he bows out. Are you coming back? Are you coming back this Sunday or
this
next
Sunday, brother? I promise you.
All right.
So my issue is I am a technological moron, and I'm still stifled by religion. So I don't. I'm not independent yet, so that I can figure that shit out.
Speaking of that, I'm going to lend you my restream so that you can go live on.
Dude, I got
Facebook.
a new MacBook Pro. Pro, so I'm figuring it out tomorrow. Okay. So it should be a problem.
Well, let's hook up. Let's connect tomorrow, and I'll give you my restream credentials, and then that way you can go live on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, all at the same time.
Okay, that'd be awesome because I'm gonna fire up my YouTube channel again. I did an interview. I don't know if you guys know Brian Scott, but I did an interview with Brian Scott. He runs a channel called The Reality Revolution, and I'm going to post that to my YouTube channel. I just got to get it downloaded and up. But my issue was, like, my Mac was so old it wouldn't download the updates anymore. So Facebook wouldn't let me live stream.
That's where we're at.
Yeah, so you get it. So, but I have a new computer. It's right here. Yeah. My boy's already put a sticker on it.
Well, right now, I'm actually using Beth's new Chromebook, which is actually refurbished, and it's great.
Yeah. So my plan is, I mean, come hell or high water, I'm planning on being on Sunday.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Let me know what time are you going to be on, so I'll know.
It'll be, gosh, what time did I come on, Ben?
Well, it's noon for me, so I guess it's
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock Mountain Time. Noon Eastern time.
Because I do mine at 8 a.m.
Oh yeah, that'll be fine.
Right.
Then. Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I'm not crowd.
Yeah.
I appreciate make sure I'm listening also. So.
All right. So that's my plan.
Awesome.
All right. Cool.
All right, brothers.
All right, brothers.
See y'all later.
All right.
You guys have a
piece
good night.
of hair grease.